This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Good afternoon, everybody. How are you today? Paulie and the Moose, WFAN, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Football is here. Big show coming up. We'll talk to the Meat Man as lower league soccer is back. A plethora of picks, futures, sides, totals, Wrexham, Sheffield Wednesday, hardcore with the Butcher. Also, Hoops Peterson to talk MLB, our third Field of Dreams game, 6 preseason games. And how about the first half numbers with what these are lined at as well? It's going to be a fun show coming up. Glad we got the Moose with us as well. How you doing, my friend? Glad to talk to you again.
Great open, Paul.
Yeah.
I mean, that was it. It was bringing me back to the Kaufman Astoria days, Queens, New York. I mean, that's a heck of an open. Good to be with you. Excited to talk a little football. We got a cavalcade of guests coming your way too, so it's going to be an action-packed next 3 hours.
Yes, Lou Finicaro on UFC. Also, Dan Leberfeld, Jets Whispers. What the Jets are going to do Saturday. They're up to 6-point favorites. Can the Jets go over their win total as well? And early reports from Jets training camp. Packers are 3 against Pittsburgh. Total of 40.5. Look at, there's a 2.5 in some spots as well. How about this? Green Bay, 2.5, 3 for the game. Green Bay first half, 3.5 at numerous spots. Love will start. No Rodgers for the Steelers. A ton of injuries at wide receiver for Green Bay. And I don't know if the Steelers are going to carry 4 quarterbacks, what the plan's going to be. But it is a pretty good rotation for preseason. Once you get past Rodgers, Rudolph, Will Howard, and Aller, I don't know if Howard's going to make the team. Are they going to go with 4 guys? I don't know what they're going to do. But the steam and the money on Green Bay, and there's some money quotes from McCarthy going back to last week. These practices the last couple of days have been very difficult. You've got 4 installs already in. You can play games with the first 4 installs. Now you're adding a second and third down package. We put in a short yardage package yesterday. We're doing red zone package. We're going to install goal line. We'll do 2 minutes. We're throwing everything at these guys. I think the Packers are the play here. First half as well, as you got a new coach and a new system and a lot going on in Pittsburgh, Moose.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's a fair assessment. And you look at Pittsburgh. Listen, you mentioned I think Aller's going to make the team. I think Howard's going to make the team. I would not be all that surprised if Mason Rudolph is the guy that's on the outside looking out, especially with the fact that they drafted Drew Aller coming out of Penn State. And he was highly regarded going into last season before he suffered the season-ending injury. So, but that's neither here nor there. You mentioned the matchup, breaking it down. I think that's fair. It's not about, preseason game number 1, nor is it for any of these teams when you look at it. It's a matter of getting the work in, trying to remain healthy through the game, not suffering a significant injury. But Paul, I do like your handicap there in terms of it's Green Bay or nothing as when you listen to what Mike McCarthy, the new head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, has had to say, and the fact that this is a veteran-laden team that's thinking about the regular season and thinking about how much they can get out of potentially Aaron Rodgers' last season in the National Football League.
Mm-hmm. Okay, this is the steam train with Cincinnati. It's back up to 7 now. They are 6.5 in the first half. There were 7.5s briefly showed earlier in the week. We've been over this all week. It's Altmaier for Detroit. Teddy retires. They just signed Dobbs. No Goff and no starters, and the Lions are on a 2-11 straight-up run in the preseason. Bad preseason numbers on Zach Taylor, although Burrow's going to start and the starters are going to give it a go. Moose, do you agree with humans, though, that we're getting carried away? I mean, you missed a good number.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, 6.5 first half, 7 for the game.
Yeah, I think 7's just a big no. I mean, given the fact that, and listen, I understand Campbell's terrible, nor does he care necessarily about the preseason, and terrible in the preseason, I should say. He's a great regular season head coach, as we have seen, set the culture out there in Detroit. But when you look at, are you really comfortable? It's great that Burrows and the starters are going to get some reps, but how long are they going to go in the game? And then you're dealing with the second half and you're laying 6.5, 7 with the Cincinnati Bengals. To me, I agree with what humans had to tell us last night, Paul. I think that's a bridge too far. I mean, I I don't necessarily feel comfortable. Listen, do I love taking the Lions plus the points? No, don't really necessarily love that. But if you ask me to pick one side or the other, I'd rather take Detroit and the 7 than take Cincinnati and lay the 7.
Okay, I like the Colts as well. They're up to 3 against the Patriots, 37.5. Richardson will start. We've been through this all week. Richardson and Leonard fighting out for the backup spot with Danny Dimes. May will not play. It's still only a half in the first half, which is a little bit surprising. But Colts for the game looks pretty good, laying 3 in this one. The Colts have played 7 straight overs on the road, and 15 of their last 20 preseason games have gone over. Can I talk you into the Colts?
No, because we had humans on last night, Paulie. He was like, "Are you comfortable laying the 2.5 or 3 with Anthony Richardson at quarterback?" The answer to me in the Malusis household is no. I'm not. I mean, so that's the issue I have. Especially, I mean, Paulie, we had that clip from Ian Rappaport where he's having an issue with vision in one of his eyes. I mean, based on the injury that he suffered, when he was going through his stretching routine last year, which cost him. And he was out for the rest of the season. So, no, to me, it's a stay away. I understand where you're leaning, given the fact that this game for the New England Patriots, they're just trying to get through the game as healthy as they possibly can. May's not playing. You're looking at Anthony Richardson, Riley Leonard competing for that backup spot behind Daniel Jones out there in Indianapolis. But I don't necessarily feel comfortable with AR or even Riley Leonard laying the 2.5.
I saw Dave Tooley's on the under here, and I don't blame him. The Texans are on a 15-3 under run in the preseason. Chargers and Texans, total of 37. The great number on the Chargers is when they're at home. 2-12 straight up run at home in the preseason. So I'm with Tooley on the under here. And the Raiders are up to 3. Why are they playing at 5 o'clock tonight? Mendoza says the Strip is he treats it like a haunted house. Apparently I didn't know they handed out meth out there on the Strip, but he's scared of it. Carson Beck will not play with the bruised rib. Brissett will start. The starters will probably go a series according to LaFleur, and it's a pretty good quarterback rotation for the Raiders because you have O'Connell in there as well. Raiders up to 341.5, Moose.
Yeah, I would probably take the Raiders laying the 2.5. Back to the Texans and the Chargers. You know what? When I think about that game, Paulie, I think about the Madden term, an old-fashioned slobber knocker. I mean, that's what that game is going to be all about. Like, it's going to be, not a lot of offense. You hit upon it in terms of the Texans historically here to the under. You know what their offense is. It's not all that much. They do have a new running back in David Montgomery, but the defense is really going to rule the day. Not necessarily preseason game number 1 for the Houston Texans, but we get to the regular season. As far as the Raiders go, I think this is a favorable matchup based on the fact of who is going to play. It doesn't necessarily give me a ton of confidence that Jacoby Brissett is going to play a series, according to LaFleur, for the Arizona Cardinals, because I don't think he's particularly good. I think he's a good backup quarterback. I think you see the warts to his game when he starts regularly, but you're not even going to get that much burn here or when he plays regularly. So to me, it would be the Raiders more interested in that side as they take on Arizona.
Okay, yes. And the big news with Beck, that's unfortunate that he's out here. So I mentioned what's going on with the first halves. And Green Bay laying 3.5 in the first half, 2.5 for the game. Cincinnati laying 7 for the game, 6.5 in the first half. We have another one. The Texans are up to 6. I hope you got there early when we gave it out earlier in the week with the cheap money line, and that was San Francisco was 1 or an open pick. Tennessee is also 4.5 in the first half, 39.5 the total. Levis and Trubisky fighting it out for the backup job. All the injuries with the 49ers. And 2 years ago, the 49ers canceled joint practice sessions with the Saints because by the time they got to them, they had 23 players not participating for injury reasons. By the end of Wednesday's practice, they were without 20 players on their 90-man roster. The assistant head coach said, we have injuries, dings, bumps, bruises, guys missing practices. We've discussed it, but we haven't canceled anything yet. And now they got to come out and try to play a game, which everything you want here with Tennessee, with a new coach, and that's a 60% angle the last 5 years, blindly betting the new coach angle with Saleh. He's also 10-3 career in the preseason. I got a team that doesn't care with all the injuries, a team that's, let's make a deep playoff run or bust. And I have a quarterback competition with the backup with Tennessee, and I'm totally down with the move. If you laid a cheap money line, you want to take +6 with a middle, you can do that if you want, but I'm with the Titans here in the Titans first half.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And I think when you look at Salah, he's great in the preseason. He's not a particularly good head coach in the regular season, as we saw with the New York Jets. And maybe he learned from that tenure, and then took the hiatus, the 1 year return to Shanahan's staff, to the defensive coordinator, and now back down there in Tennessee. Yeah, I think for San Francisco, I don't know what's going on with the 49ers organization, because that has become, not just in the preseason, Paulie, in the regular season, it's basically trying to read a long list of who is not playing. And last year, they got absolutely ravaged with significant injuries when you're looking at Bosa and Warner and obviously McCaffrey and the starting quarterback, when you're looking at Brock Purdy and everything that comes along with it. That's why Shanahan did a remarkable job to coach to get that team and the very best out of that team week in and week out. But when you look at this preseason matchup, I agree with you. We talk about Levis. He's not a top 32 quarterback. I don't care what he says, but you like the fact of the compete level down there in Tennessee. Solid, trying to set a tone early on. And historically speaking, when you look at Saleh as a head coach, and that's where you got to look at what teams are trying to do, he puts importance on winning these preseason games. So therefore, to me, it's the Titans or nothing.
Raiders 6-1 straight up, straight up in the preseason, and also 7 straight overs on the road in the preseason for the Titans. Some other games that have moved with the Watson news, although it was yesterday, but still no Caleb Williams for the Bears. Bagent will start. The Browns are up to 3.5. And Josh Allen and the starters will give it a go. They are 2.5 against Carolina Saturday morning as well. Follow the money, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Field of Dreams tonight. The Phillies and the Twins. And I can't believe the price in the Dodger game. We'll get to that coming up, and all the in-play in MLB as the White Sox have a rally going coming up on Follow the Money. Sirius XM Channel 158. Good to have you.
This is VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Always follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Paulie and Mark Malusis, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Durbin Grand Slam for the Red Sox. 5-0 now in the top of the 8th, trying to avoid the sweep in Toronto. Jets take on the Buccaneers tomorrow. They are up to 6-point favorites, 35.5 the total. For more on that game and the season outlook and camp, we talked to Dan Leberfeld now, friend of the show, Jet Whispers on X. He's on the Progressive guest line, kind enough to take a few moments out of his day to talk little Jets with us as well. Thanks for the time, my friend. How is camp going so far?
Good. It's a camp where this time of year everyone has a glass half full, right? And the Jets have a lot of hope. And I think the thing that gives them hope is Frank Reich's arrival. You talk about free agents, you talk about draft picks. They had a lot of high draft picks. But the arrival of Frank Reich as offensive coordinator has really changed the vibe, not just because he's an accomplished offensive play caller who'll do a better job on that side of the ball than they've seen in a number of years, but also because I think he'll be a really good bench coach for Aaron Glenn, who struggled in his first year as an NFL head coach, and Frank, 3-time head coach with the Carolina Panthers, Colts, and, of course, the Stanford Cardinal last year. So he's a guy not only can help their offense, but can help Aaron Glenn take that next step as a head coach, as almost like a bench coach in baseball.
How significant, Dan, and good to chat with you, and hopefully you're enjoying training camp. How significant an upgrade is it with Geno Smith at quarterback now for the Jets?
Well, I'll tell you what. When you look at the situation where unless you have a Patrick Mahomes or a Joe Burrow or a Josh Allen, that upper echelon of quarterbacks that are getting 55 to 60 million, once you get past that tier, I've always believed so many teams waste money on that middle tier or very good quarterback. I watched Baker Mayfield the last couple days with the Buccaneers as the Jets and Bucs had joint practices, and he's very good, don't get me wrong. But I'm not sure if I want to pay him $50-55 million a year. He went 8-9 last year, and you look at Geno's record, the 3 years in Seattle, with a stable team, and the record of Baker Mayfield the last 3 years with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, almost identical. And I'll give Geno a pass last year in Las Vegas. I mean, you guys are based in Vegas. I know, Mark, you're working with them, but all the other guys out of the East Coast. But the guys in Vegas saw firsthand last year, Mark, you were aware of it, how bad that offensive line was, how devoid they were of weapons. So I'm going to give Geno a pass for last year. I'm going to go by his Seattle work. And the Seattle work was pretty good with 9-8, 10-7 type records. Jets would sign up for that in a heartbeat.
Oh, you're being very kind. I mean, he led the league in interceptions. He was atrocious.
But that line was so bad, with Colton Miller out and all the other injuries. I think that as far as Geno, I don't know if there was a worse offensive line in football. And I'm not saying Geno's great, don't get me wrong. But, man, was that line bad.
What do you think of the weapons that he has to work with and what they did in the draft?
Well, I think the weapons are very good. I don't know what's going on with Kenyon Sadiq, the 16th pick of the first round. They drafted him with a sports hernia. He goes into the rookie mini camp. He didn't have surgery at Oregon. He doesn't feel right in the rookie camp. He gets surgery. He comes back at the beginning of camp. It's not feeling right. He's on the sideline again. So I don't know where you're going to see him, but they're pretty deep at tight end. Mason Taylor, the second-year player at LSU, is having a very good camp at the tight end position. Obviously, they're pretty loaded at receiver now, getting a lot of help for Garrett Wilson. Adonai Mitchell should be a very good complement to former Colt. And obviously, Omar Cooper in the draft looks like a good slot receiver. Isaiah Williams, the team MVP last year, which is kind of an indictment as far as the team, is when the kick returner is their MVP, but that's another story. He looks really good in camp. The line is very good with the bookend tackles, both picked in the first round. I think that they have plenty of weapons, and Breece Hall at running back is pretty good. So weapons won't be a problem. I don't think the line will be a problem, and I think Geno can manage the game. I don't want you guys to think I'm overrating him. I'm talking about 9-8 as the best record possible for them, and I think with Geno at quarterback, if you protect him and you sell the running game with the play action, I think he can be serviceable.
Wow.
Yeah, and Breece Hall with that 3-year contract. Defensively here, Dan, how has Bailey looked? I know he got tweaked up a little bit, but how is the second overall pick looked? And if calling plays is Aaron Glenn's superpower, which he's going to be doing this year, why exactly didn't he call plays last year after they fired the DC?
No, I think we lost
Dan.
I am surprised. I am shocked. He is usually gloomy Gus. And he said best case scenario, but he's thinking maybe 8-9 wins, and the win total's 5.5.
Yeah, Dan is a little positive here. Good vibes, Paulie, we talked about it. There are positive vibes. I took the over the 5.5 for the Jets. I don't think they're going to be a playoff team. I don't think they're going to win 9 games. I do agree. I'll disagree with you, Paul. I do agree with Danny, and he's back with us. As far as Geno Smith, he's going to be decidedly better than what they had a year ago. Dan, how about the defense here? How has Bailey looked, and how about Aaron Glenn calling plays defensively?
Yeah, I mean, with Aaron Glenn calling plays defensively, I don't think he was a great defensive coordinator in Detroit. He was okay. The last time we saw him there was at Washington playoff game where they didn't play very good defense and he didn't make very good adjustments. So I think he's a good, not great defensive coordinator. He'll work with Brian Duker, who's got the title, who worked with him in Detroit. So he'll kind of be co-defensive coordinator. I think it'll be better than last year, where Steve Wilkes was not a good hire. And also Aaron Glenn farming out the defense last year was weird when he made his bones on defense, and then you hire a defensive coordinator you never worked with who plays a different system. That was weird. So I think the owner said, you call the defense. So they'll do that. They have so much better depth than last year on defense. They did not, when you play D-line in the NFL, as you guys know, you rotate a lot. When they rotated to the backups, it was a disaster. They had no depth. So I think the D-line rotation will be a lot better with their additions, and I think the secondary is a lot deeper. I think linebacker is still a little bit of a problem. After Demario Davis, they have a lot of question marks. But I think when you look at the first-round pick, number 2 overall, I think that when you look at what's going on there, I think the media's gone a little overboard with the praise as far as the first-round pick, but I think he'll be a solid edge rusher. But remember, at Texas Tech last year, every single player on that D-line was drafted, and let's not forget that program has a lot of money to spend, the Red Raiders, so they went out and bought a D-line. So he had a lot of help there. We'll see what he can do, being more of a focal point on the Jets D-line. But I think that I don't think he'll be a bust, but I don't know if he'll live up to the hype he's getting right now.
6-point favorites tomorrow against Tampa. What's the game plan with what they're going to do with quarterback rotation and how Glenn's treating this game?
Yeah, well, I think one thing to consider about this game in terms of Tampa Bay is the other day in practice, they lost their backup quarterback. Obviously, Baker Mayfield wasn't going to play, but they lost Jake Browning to an injury in the practice. So I think they might be down to the third-string quarterback. We saw a lot of Jalen Daniels, and the former Bowling Green quarterback was out there as well. So I don't know what they're going to do at quarterback when you look at the Tampa Bay Bucks. As far as the Jets, Cade Klubnik, I'll say this about him. I don't know how good he's going to be in the long term, but he's certainly a very good preseason quarterback because he's got a good arm. He's got good wheels. He likes to run around. As far as regular season, I don't know if he has to play. I wouldn't put him in the backup role in the regular season, being one snap away, because one thing I've seen that's a problem with him is he's a one-read and run quarterback. As far as he's not going through his progressions very well, if the first read's not open in practice, he starts running to the right and is playing street yard ball. And I say that related to the preseason. As you guys know, that might not be bad in the preseason. So if you're looking at it from a preseason game, he might be okay in the preseason, but I don't know if that's going to work in the regular season if he has to play. If I were the Jets, I'd go out and get a veteran backup, but I think he could be okay running around in the preseason.
Dan, I have one last one for you. You mentioned, how's the Reich-Glenn relationship? Because there's a lot of Jet fans that believe that maybe Frank Reich, if it goes poorly this year, is the head coach in waiting.
Yeah, I think the relationship is fine. Frank is a good, very good person, a very devout, religious person, and I don't think that he came in thinking, you know what, this coach is on the hot seat. If they get off to a 1-4 start or an 0-5 start, I could be a head coach again. I don't think that's Frank's motives. It was a risky hire from the standpoint of, they have a guy there if they decide to make a move in season who's a 3-time head coach and would be a good interim coach and maybe beyond, maybe a coach, for a few years. But I don't think that was Frank's motive. The relationship seems to be fine. I don't see Frank as a kind of guy that's gunning for the position, but it might happen organically, if the Jets get off to a bad start as far as Reich being a potential replacement.
Thanks for the time, my man. Always good to catch up with you, and enjoy the game tomorrow. Thank you.
Anytime, guys. Have a good one.
All right. Eye on the Jets. Very surprised. All right.
Yeah. A lot of positivity.
No kidding. And win total of 5.5. Watch out. It's a lot of praise for Geno Smith, who's the favorite to lead the league in interceptions after what he did last year as well. We'll go through some of the NFL preseason games coming up next, but also we touched on this. A lot of fans are excited, thinking, hey, maybe we could be next. The Lakers went for $12.5 billion. Are other owners looking around saying, I got to sell now? While the going's getting good here. We'll talk about that next on Follow the Money.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Red Sox about to finish off Toronto, 7-0, bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, and avoid the sweep. It's been too long. We get to visit with Lou Finicaro at GamLou on X. Read his write-ups. Does a phenomenal job at VSiN.com. The Bout Business podcast. He's on the Progressive guest line as well to break down UFC 330 from Philly tomorrow. And an unbelievable tease from Uncle Lou. One of his best bets he's seen in the last 3 years, which he'll give out at the end of this segment. Good to catch up with you again, my friend. Let's start with Gore, a small favorite in this fight. What do you think of Gore and why he's going to get it done to start the card?
Tresean Gore is a young, fast, highly volatile, explosive, powerful fighter. IQ is not a strong point. And he's fighting a guy that's got tremendous amount of fights under his belt in Vicente Luque, who traditionally was a 170-pound fighter, and he's running out of steam now as he's 34, 35 years old, but his body's wearing more of those years because of the attrition he's been through. Anyway, he's now stepped up to 85. Luque, speed, quickness, and now the ability to eat a punch has never been his strong suit. It was when he was young. It isn't any longer. This is a bad matchup for him. He'll be the smarter man and the more experienced man. But as long as Gore listens to his corners, I think he's going to be the faster, more explosive man and stands to do well in this fight. You can see Gore's a short favorite here, but you can shop around and get him a little better than the minus 130 that's depicted.
Lou, how about Fernandez going up against Jalen Turner?
Another underdog I like. Jalen Turner just came back to the UFC after retirement. I wonder where his head's at. He's long, tall, highly athletic, and he can pack some punch. Issue is Fernandez fights out of Nova União in Brazil, has never been knocked out. And so I think this is going to be a scrappy fight. And the longer Fernandez stays in there, the more discouraged Turner's going to be and may start thinking again about retirement. And so I think Fernandez can be regarded at plus 135 or so as a live dog.
Okay, very good. And seeing Gore, $1.15 at DraftKings right now as well. And that's where we'll go for a lot of his picks here. And you're getting creative here. Tell us about this parlay. This is Ribovitz to finish Barbosa, tied into Mackenzie Dern to beat Robertson. Take it away, Uncle Lou.
Yeah, those are both fights on the main card. Ribovitz is a 10 years younger. There's tremendous advantage to the younger fighter when you get more than 6 years of age difference. And so Ribovitz holds that. Barboza is on the Mount Rushmore of OGs in the UFC. When you talk about authentic guys like the Diaz brothers, you just have to put him in there. He's fought everybody. The guy's a warrior, but he's 40. And I don't want to say he's spent, but his best days are behind him. Ribovitz going to tear through him like Grant through Richmond. And I think that finish, you still have to pay minus 200. It's no gimme, but that's how Ribovitz wants to win this fight. That's how he's going to win this fight, I believe. And then we take that to the co-main event with Mackenzie Dern. Dern fights a young lady named Robertson from Canada, who's a tough, scrappy little chihuahua backed into a corner. But in every level of mixed martial arts weaponry, she lacks what Dern has. Dern's the better striker, and Dern isn't that great a striker. And Dern is a world-class Brazilian jiu-jitsu artist that's assimilated her game to mixed martial arts. Wherever Robertson tries to take this, she's going to be in too much water. And I think this won't be an easy fight for Dern. It's going to be a typical ladies 115-pound matchup that'll go to decision. But I think Dern will have her way with Robertson if she doesn't submit her.
And Lou, in the co-main event, you like Gary. You think Gary's a live dog?
Well, that's the main event, Moose. And I'll tell you what, there's a story here. Makhachev is now the champion at 170 after having beaten Jack Della Maddalena for the title. And Jack Della Maddalena, beat an undersized Belal Muhammad for the title. And Jack Della Maddalena is somewhat undersized himself. Makhachev beat him. But before that fought at 155. And a couple of years ago, 2023, Volkanovski took Makhachev to a decision. Yeah, the Volkanovski that came up to 155 from 145. So now here's Makhachev holding the title at 170. Now he has to face a real 170-pounder. This dude, Gary, he's long on mouth, and I don't like him a bit. However, his fighting style is perfect for an upset in this fight. Who he has faced is absolutely the top razor blades in the division. And even though he lost to Rachmanov, who's now injured, he made that fight competitive and survived to decision. He will be 4 inches taller than Makhachev. He'll be the more athletic man. And in this fight, he will have to manipulate space and keep Makhachev at distance, which I think he can do. And even when Makhachev reaches the inside position, as strong as he is, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get Gary down. This is a really, really great matchup for Gary. I advise a small taste of him on the money line at plus 280 or so. More importantly, if you're outside of Nevada and you can get the DraftKings plus 9.5 points at minus 120, that's a 3-unit release for me. I rarely release 2-unit bets.
Ooh.
This is a 3-unit bet. So I don't want to overstate it. I'd rather understate it. But this is a really, really excellent opportunity for Ian Gary.
I'm trying to also help you out here. Joe Rogan thinks maybe Makhachev could retire after the fight too. Does that play into it?
Not to me. What Makhachev is trying to do is win this fight and then be carried off on everybody's shoulders as being with John Jones as a GOAT in the UFC. And if he wins this, I think that classification fits him. That's how much he's fighting for. But we just saw Ilya Topuria fight for a lot. I'm not saying Makhachev is coming into this fight overconfident like Topuria was, but funny things happen. And this Gary is unusually athletic and deft on his feet. He has no power, and that's why I see this. You see this fight lined at 4.5 over.
Yeah.
That's why I love the 9.5, because I don't believe Makhachev can get him out of there, and I know Gary can't knock him out. And so going to decision, and you're going to give me 9 points. That means they're going to have to give Makhachev every round to beat me, and I don't think that's how this fight goes.
Okay, excellent
Lou,
breakdown.
what's the best fight of UFC 330?
I think it's this Makhachev Gary because of the clash of styles. This is Frazier Ali, where Makhachev, the wrestler, has to get in and clasp on, and Gary cannot let that happen. If it does, he's got to get up and separate. And where this fight takes place, Moose, is going to tell you who's winning the fight.
Great to talk to you, my man. Excellent breakdown as always. Good luck, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Thanks for having me, guys. Keep it up, and good luck, everybody.
There it is. Lou Finicaro at Gamlu on X, and read his breakdowns, vsin.com, and the About Business podcast. One of his favorite bet in the last 2 to 3 years. Available at DraftKings, Gary plus 9.5 in the main event. And an excellent breakdown there.
That.
And then how about, the plus 282 with a little sprinkle, as he said, and then getting creative with that parlay, which it was Dern to beat Robertson. That has moved. That's up to 220 now at DraftKings. But again, tied in to Ribovitz to win with any finish as well. So excellent job from Lou.
And Paulie, you went final. Red Sox 7-0 to the good. So the over, it goes under, even though that game was 1-0 for a while.
Okay.
Durbin with the big home run late for Boston, 7-0 the final.
Okay. I like you guys behind the glass. Never put Little League World Series on. I don't want to see it. I can't stand it. I despise Little League World Series. I mean,
why do you despise it? It's a slice of Americana.
Number one, it's the highlight of these guys' lives. You shouldn't peak when you're 11 or 12. It also dictates puberty. Who hits puberty first as well? And then if a kid's great at 12 or 13, the letdown. And your neck of the woods, I hate the El Monte stories, how the parents try to cheat and ruin this as well and live vicariously through their kids also. We
knew
have
something was off when Danny Almonte was throwing the ball like 90 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Something was off.
And the Chinese Taipei first baseman is 6'5" with a mustache every single year. We have a preseason game to start the card where a team is laying more in the first half than they are for the game next.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Great to have soccer back. And we're doing the lower league preview with the Butcher, Steve Wiss. Next week, the Premier League gets underway. We'll check in with him again next week for a hardcore preview with the Prem as well, and a bigger menu with what the books offer as well. But again, DraftKings, FanDuel, Will Hill, and Caesars do an excellent job of offering the lower leagues, English Championship, League One, and League Two. And we roll on with the Meat Man, Steve Wiss, because we win pod at Meat Man Soccer on X. He's on the progressive guest line. Ran through the futures. Now how about some sides and totals? Let's go back to the Championship League with an under with Bristol City and Millwall on Paramount Plus Saturday morning, 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific. Why the case for under 2.5 goals, Meat Man?
How about the 0-0 detector ringing out
All
first
right.
week here? Yeah, plus 700 I think you can get 0-0 here. Under 2.5 goals. Bristol City, Millwall. Now, Bristol City have got a new manager, Michael Skubala. He's just led Lincoln to promotion from League One to the Championship, but he's jumped ship. The key stat was last season for Lincoln. Lincoln had the fewest ball possession of any team, but they still got promoted. Now, possession in soccer is a much debated thing. You could be like Barcelona and have about 70% of the ball, or do what Lincoln did last season and not have much of the ball. We've got two managers here who don't want the ball. Like Millwall last season only averaged 47% possession. So you've got a situation, a bad matchup, as I would call it, for both. Nobody wants the ball. Both want to counter-attack and get in behind the opposition. They're not going to be able to do that because it's going to be deep. And that usually leads to stalemate. So for me, under 2.5 goals at minus 110. Millwall, even in pre-season, have had a lot of unders. Bristol City lost last week to Walsall in the Cup 1-0. I think we're going to get a really tame start. And if there is a goal, it's probably from a set piece or a penalty. So I like the under 2.5 to start things off, minus 110.
All right, 7:30 in the morning, Eastern, 4:30 a.m. Pacific out here. We start the day with Bolton Wanderers, who are promoted. They come up to the Championship League. They take on Preston. How about Bolton money line plus 120?
First week, always look at promoted teams to do well. They've got a bouncing feel-good factor. The fans are feeling brilliant. And Bolton, I think, could be one of those teams. At home first week against Preston, they're a plus money play to beat them. The stadium's going to be rocking. Bolton are a club back on the up again after a few dismal years, but they're definitely trending upwards. I think they're going to be fine this season. Preston could be a candidate to go down. They are definitely one of the teams on my shortlist to be relegated. Bolton, 13 wins at home last season, just 2 defeats. I think they can get off to a flyer here against a poor Preston team and win. I could see them winning quite well, actually. I think I rate Bolton. I think they've got a lot of momentum heading into this season. So plus 120. I thought they'd be minus money to win this one, Paulie. I'm jumping on this all day long.
All right, let's go to League One. And you're high on Bradford, as we just talked about, and Peterborough United. They've been a high-scoring club, it seems like, the last 3 years. Bradford money line, $1.50.
Simple play. Yeah, home win for me. And Peterborough, you're absolutely right, Paulie. They're kind of one of the most predictable teams you'll get in any of the English leagues because they concede so many goals. 14 away defeats last season. Ooh. Now, they did win a few games, but they only had 2 ties, and that kind of sums them up. When they're bad, they're really, really bad. And I expect them to be bad here because, I mean, I mentioned that Bradford home record at the top of the show. It was simply superb, the third best in League One last season, really well supported. They're a team that got off to a great start last season as well, Bradford. That's why they ultimately got in the playoffs. So I think we can back them with confidence in week 1. Minus 150 on the money line. This is best bet material of the whole weekend.
Good. All right. Thank you for that. MK Dons. That's Nigel's club. They come up now. They get promoted to League One. They take on Oxford, who you said are going to have a lousy year. How about MK Dons against Oxford in League One also Saturday?
Again, MK have come up, just got promoted, and you can get them here plus 150 on the draw no bet option because Oxford, I mentioned them. I think they could struggle this season. You've got a clear case of a team with momentum against a team that doesn't really know what's going to happen to them this season. They'll be nervous. Whenever a team gets relegated, you are nervous, ultimately, unless you really sign great players. But Oxford have had the transfer embargo. They've not been able to sign anyone yet. So MK Dons here look a great plus money play. They've unlike Oxford, they are pretty well run. They've got money to spend, and they look in excellent form heading into the preseason and the start of this new season. So draw no bet means you get a full refund, a full push if it did end a tie. I don't want to put off anyone thinking about just straight money line here on MK Dons, and you can get nice odds on them here. But let's just have that draw security. But I think they can catch Oxford cold first week. MK Dons to start the season with a bang.
All right, and one play in League Two. This is Gillingham against Walsall. How do you want to play this one?
Yeah, I'm going draw no bet again here on the away team. Walsall, plus 125. I watched Gillingham against Luton last week, more as a sort of a research into Luton Town, more than anything. But what actually caught my eye was how bad Gillingham were. They looked awful. They stunk the place out. Okay, they were facing League One team who's going to do well. But in the space of a week, they have got to really improve, I think. And immediately I was thinking after that match, I'm going to bet against them in week one here against a Walsall team who had the 6th best away record last season. The season before that, they had the 4th best away record. This is a team that travels well in recent years. And I think Walsall will be knocking on the top 10 door, to be honest with you. Gillingham are a bit of a nothing club, really. They're quite boring, and they'll end up probably somewhere around 15th to 18th. Probably safe, but nothing remarkable about them. And yeah, I didn't really like what I saw last week, Paulie. I know it was only the cup. I can't get it out of my head how bad they were. I've got to oppose them here. Walsall draw no bet plus 125. Looks a good away dog.
So next week, the Premier League starts, and we'll do a hardcore preview with that with you next week. So you mentioned the Championship League a lot of times that a team that gets sent down goes right back up. How about two of the teams that were promoted, Coventry and also Hull City? How bad could Hull City be that they weren't even that good last year, but they caught some breaks, got lucky, and somehow found their way into the playoff and then shocked the world and won the damn thing? How bad could Hull City be?
There's a potential they could be really bad because last season, their metrics had them in the bottom 5, bottom 6. In fact, on expected points, I think they had the second fewest expected points of the season. But let's have we'll have a deep dive into their transfers next week. They brought in a lot of young players from Europe who they're hoping they're sort of gambling on is going to improve. But it's going to be tough for Hull to survive. Coventry, in my initial feeling is I think they could go well. They could do what Sunderland did last season. Everyone was like, Sunderland are going to go down. And they ended at 55 points, and they've got into the Conference League. So I think Coventry's points totals at 34.5. I think that's an over for Coventry City. I think of the 3 teams coming up, they're the ones most likely to survive. Ipswich, they've become too much of a yo-yo team for me, and I think they might struggle as well, although they've got a new manager. But yeah, Coventry are definitely in a good place. They see much better run. They've got a decent manager in Frank Lampard now, and I'll be looking to get with them. But Hull City, if they avoid the bottom 3, then miracles might be happening, Paulie.
All right, my man. Great to talk to you. Good luck this weekend. We'll catch up with you next week, and it's great that lower league soccer and the Premier League coming back already. Thank you. An excellent job with the World Cup, too.
Thanks, Paulie. Take care. I'll see you next week. Looking forward to it. Premier League, bring it on.
Check out his Because We Win pod. They do an excellent job, Nigel and the crew, and Meatman Soccer on X. I was missing a zero. What got me into soccer, 2015, Leicester City won the Premier League 5,000 to 1. There were, wow. I saw 2 of the tickets. I think 2 people in the state of Nevada had it, the largest future hit in the state of Nevada. And one guy, I think, only had $20 on it. But at that price, it doesn't matter. And the first time we ever talked to Nigel Seeley Moose, he told the story where a guy hit the cash out button a couple matches in just to get a couple pints, what he cashed out. and he missed out on his 5. Yes, they were 5,000 to 1 to win the Premier League in 2015 and 16, and they did it.
Wow. What did he cash out for? Do you remember, Paulie?
$5?
No.
$7? Yeah. He was one of the guys who did it early on. The first time we ever talked to Nigel. Like a guy he knew, he cashed out just to get a couple pints, and what he could have won.
Insane.
I know what could have been.
What he could have won at
Yes.
5,000 to 1. That's a lot. I mean, that's a lottery ticket.
I still can't believe that happened. As Vardy had 24 goals and led the league, and what happened was just an upside down kind of thing where the top clubs weren't that good, and it's not like they put up, didn't have a lot of points to win it either. But the improbable win that they were 5,000 to 1 and took it down in 15, 16. And now they're stuck in League One with what I said to Meatman earlier. The wait is over. Get the college football betting guide, 6 preseason games tonight, by the way, as well. NFL guide also out there. But the college football guide, we preview every team. Preseason top 50, Matt Humans, Paul Stone, top 10 rankings, power ratings, proven betting systems. Start today, just $9.99. Get a full year and save 50% with a VSiN Pro annual subscription at VSiN.com/subscribe now. An interesting update about the total with the Field of Dreams game coming up next on Follow the Money.